The anomaly, the observation deck of Station Omega-7, offered one of the most spectacular views in known space. 3 binary stars danced their eternal waltz in the distance, painting the void with colors that had no names in any terrestrial language. Commander Vex Thaler had spent the last 15 years watching this cosmic ballet, and it never failed to calm his mind. Today, however, nothing could ease the tension that gripped his chitinous frame. The Zephyrian commander's compound eyes tracked across the holographic displays that surrounded his command center. As the senior officer of the Galactic Federation's most remote monitoring station, Vex had witnessed many strange phenomena over the years. Solar flares, quantum storms, the occasional rogue asteroid that wandered too far from its home system. But nothing in his experience had prepared him for the readings that now flooded his instruments. "Sir, the gravitational distortion is increasing exponentially," reported Lieutenant Kira Donovan, the station's human liaison officer. She was one of only a handful of humans who had made contact with the Federation over the past decade, refugees from some distant conflict that had scattered their people across the galaxy. Her species was still largely unknown to most Federation citizens, considered just another minor spacefaring race trying to find their place among the stars. Kira's voice carried the strain of someone trying to maintain professional composure while witnessing something that defied explanation. Her fingers danced across her console with practiced efficiency, but Vex could see the uncertainty in her movements. The readings made no sense by any conventional understanding of physics. "Whatever is coming through hyperspace," she continued, "it's massive. The energy signature alone suggests a power source equivalent to multiple stellar cores." Vex's antennae twitched with nervous energy. In all his years of monitoring the deep void, he had never encountered anything that could generate such readings. The Federation's most powerful dreadnoughts barely registered on sensors at this distance, yet something was approaching that made their finest warships look like shuttlecraft by comparison. The main display screen flickered as it struggled to process the incoming data. Numbers cascaded down the holographic interface in an endless stream of impossible measurements. Whatever was emerging from hyperspace wasn't just large, it was beyond the scope of anything in the Federation's databases. "Sir," called out Ensign Jorik from the communications station, his blue-tinted skin pale with concern. "I'm detecting multiple hyperspace rifts opening in formation. The primary signature has escorts." Vex felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. If the primary contact was massive enough to register on their deep space sensors, what kind of civilization could deploy multiple vessels at such scale? The implications were terrifying to consider. The space before them began to distort as reality itself seemed to bend and twist. A fabric of space-time rippled like water, disturbed by falling stones. Warning klaxons blared throughout the station as their instruments registered energy levels that threatened to overload their sensor arrays. It had happened. The first ship emerged from hyperspace in a flash of exotic radiation that temporarily blinded their sensors. When the interference cleared, every being on the station stood in stunned silence. Where empty void had existed moments before, a construct of unimaginable proportions now dominated their view. The vessel stretched nearly 25 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull a matte black composite that seemed to absorb starlight rather than reflect it. Weapon arrays dotted its surface like the scales of some primordial beast, each individual battery larger than most Federation frigates. The ship's design spoke of advanced engineering and materials science that surpassed anything in the known galaxy. "By the void," whispered Ensign Jorik. "What kind of civilization builds ships like that?" As if responding to his question, additional vessels began emerging from hyperspace around the massive flagship. Each escort ship was itself a formidable craft, comparable in size to Federation battlecruisers, but moving with a precision and grace that suggested far more advanced propulsion systems. "Lieutenant," Donovan's console chimed with an incoming transmission. Her expression was unreadable as she processed the signal's origin. "Sir, we're receiving a communication from the flagship. The transmission is on standard Federation diplomatic frequencies." How could they know our protocols? Vex asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answer. "Sir," Kira said, her voice barely above a whisper, "the transmission is in perfect galactic standard, and sir, ... It's originating from the human vessel." The command center fell silent, except for the hum of life support systems and the subtle vibrations of the station's rotation. Vex stared at his human liaison officer, processing the implications of what she had just revealed. "You're saying that massive warship is from your species?" he asked carefully. Kira nodded slowly, her own shock evident. "The energy signature matches human hyperspace technology, but I'd never seen anything like this ship. The largest human vessels I knew about were maybe 2 kilometers long." "Put them through," Vex ordered, straightening his posture and trying to project an authority he didn't feel. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the bridge of the alien vessel. The first thing that struck Vex was how similar the ships. Interior looked to Federation designs, yet everything was built on a larger scale. The command chairs were more robust, the displays more extensive, and the overall atmosphere spoke of a civilization that expected their vessels to face serious threats. A human male appeared on screen, wearing a uniform that was both functional and impressive. His hair was graying at the temples, suggesting advanced age by human standards, and his eyes held the confidence of someone accustomed to command. When he smiled, it was warm and genuine, but Vex couldn't shake the feeling that he was looking at a predator attempting to be friendly. "Greetings," the human said in flawless galactic standard. "I am Captain Marcus Reed of the Earth vessel USS Prometheus. We come in peace, seeking contact with the Galactic Federation. We apologize for any alarm our arrival may have caused." Vex found his voice after a moment of stunned silence. "Welcome, Captain Red. I am Commander Vex Thaler of Federation Deep, Space Station Omega-7. We were not expecting contact from your species, and certainly not in a vessel of such impressive proportions." Captain Reed tilted his head slightly, a gesture that Vex was learning indicated consideration in human body. "Language. I understand your concern, Commander. The Prometheus is one of our larger exploration vessels, but we felt it appropriate for such an important mission. We've been trying to make contact with the Federation for some time." "Exploration vessel?" Vex repeated, his voice cracking slightly. "Captain, our sensors indicate your ship carries enough firepower to sterilize planets." The human's expression grew more serious. "Commander, I need you to understand something about where we come from. The region of space that humanity calls home is not as peaceful as your territory appears to be. Our ships are designed to survive in an environment where threats exist that your people have never encountered." Before Vex could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Ensign Jorik's voice cut through the noise. "Sir, we're detecting massive hyperspace signatures. Multiple contacts, all of them large." Through the viewports, space began to twist again as more rifts opened around them. One by one, additional human vessels emerged from hyperspace. Each one was a leviathan of metal and energy, their combined presence turning the local space into what appeared to be a staging area for conquest. "How many ships are you bringing?" Vex asked, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Captain Reed consulted a display outside the camera's view. "This is our standard first contact flotilla, Commander. 27 vessels total, including scientific survey ships, diplomatic facilities, and their escort squadrons." Lieutenant Donovan was frantically working her console, trying to process the sensor data. "Sir, the combined firepower of that fleet could destroy every Federation world simultaneously." Captain Reed's expression remained calm, but Vex detected a note of concern in his voice. "Commander, I understand this must be overwhelming, but I need you to know that humanity has no aggressive intentions toward the Federation. We're explorers and diplomats, not conquerors." "Then why," Vex asked carefully, "do you travel in ships capable of destroying civilizations?" The human captain was quiet for a long moment, as if considering how to explain something that was self-evident to his people, but clearly shocking to others. "Commander, have you ever encountered a void stalker? Or fought off a quantum plague outbreak? Have your people ever faced the harvester swarms that consume entire star systems?" The alien names meant nothing to Vex, but the way Captain Reed spoke of them sent chills through his exoskeleton. These weren't theoretical threats or ancient legends. This was a being who had personally faced dangers that the Federation couldn't even imagine. "I see from your expression that these threats are unknown to you," Reed continued. "The region of space where humanity evolved is what we call a contested zone. Civilizations don't survive there by building peaceful exploration vessels. They survive by building ships that can fight off extinction-level threats and win." The bridge fell silent as everyone processed this information. The human fleet wasn't an invasion force. It was a refugee convoy from a part of the galaxy where warfare and survival were constant realities. "Captain," Vex said slowly, "what exactly are you proposing?" Captain Reed leaned forward in his command chair. "Commander, we're seeking sanctuary and alliance. Humanity has developed technologies and strategies that could benefit the Federation, and in return, we hope to find a safe harbor for our people. But first, we need to establish trust and understanding between our civilizations." As if summoned by the conversation, Admiral Quinn Torvin's image appeared on a secondary display. The aged Centaurian's expression was grim as he addressed both commanders. "Captain Reed, I am Admiral Torvin of the Federation Defense Fleet. Task Force is en route to this position. I trust you understand our caution regarding such a heavily armed first contact." "Of course, Admiral," Reed replied respectfully. "We welcome the opportunity to demonstrate our peaceful intentions. However, I should mention that our defensive protocols are still active. My ships will not initiate hostilities, but they will respond to any aggressive actions as threats to the fleet." The implied warning was clear. The human ships might be vastly outnumbered by the approaching Federation fleet, but they possessed such overwhelming technological superiority that numbers would be irrelevant in any conflict. Admiral Torvin's expression suggested he understood the delicate nature of their situation. "Captain, perhaps we should arrange face-to-face negotiations. I'm willing to meet with your diplomatic team aboard a neutral facility." "That would be acceptable, Admiral. I'll prepare our delegation immediately." As the transmission ended, Vex realized that everything was about to change. The Federation had just made contact with a human civilization that treated planet-killing warships as standard exploration vessels. Whether this first contact would lead to unprecedented prosperity or absolute destruction remained to be seen. A massive human fleet hung in space around their station like sleeping giants, their weapons powered down but ready. Lieutenant Donovan worked quietly at her console, and Vex noticed her hands were shaking slightly. Even she had never seen anything like the firepower that now surrounded them. "Sir," she said without looking up from her work, "I've been analyzing their ship configurations. This isn't just advanced technology. This is a completely different approach to space warfare. Everything about their design philosophy suggests they expect to face threats that could destroy lesser civilizations without effort." Vex nodded grimly. The humans claimed to come in peace, but they had brought enough military power to conquer half the known galaxy. Whether they were saviors or destroyers remained to be determined. The first phase of contact was complete. Now the real challenge would begin. The truth unveiled. The conference chamber aboard Admiral Torvin's flagship had been hastily reconfigured to accommodate both human and Federation physiology. The meeting that was about to take place would determine the course of galactic civilization for generations to come. Captain Marcus Reed sat across from a delegation of the Federation's most experienced diplomats. But his attention was focused on the woman beside him. Dr. Elena Vasquez was humanity's foremost xenobiologist, and her insights into alien psychology had proven invaluable during their long journey to Federation space. Admiral Torvin maintained his composure, but Reed could see the strain in the Centaurian's posture. The Federation commander was dealing with a situation unlike anything in their recorded history. A single human vessel could theoretically destroy their entire civilization, yet these same humans claimed to seek peaceful cooperation. Captain Reed, began High Counselor Zara Mindis, her melodious voice carrying the authority of someone who spoke for dozens of member worlds. We must address the fundamental concern that overshadows these negotiations. Your fleet possesses destructive capabilities that exceed our combined military forces. How can we discuss cooperation when such a power imbalance exists? Reed had expected this question, but finding the right words remained challenging. Counselor, imagine if your people had evolved in a region of space where planet-eating creatures were common predators, where artificial intelligences routinely consumed entire star systems for raw materials, where the very fabric of space-time was unstable due to ancient weapons that still function after millions of years. He activated a holographic projector, filling the center of the conference table with images that made several delegates recoil in horror. The first image showed a creature that defied easy description, a living void in space that consumed matter and energy with equal hunger. This is a void stalker, Reed explained calmly. They exist in the spaces between dimensions and feed on the life force of entire worlds. A single mature specimen can drain a planet of all biological activity, a matter of hours. They're attracted to large concentrations of life energy, which makes populated worlds irresistible targets. The image shifted to show a human battle group engaging the creature. The ships moved with desperate efficiency, their weapons creating controlled tiers in space-time to drive the predator back to its own dimensional realm. We've been fighting these entities for over 3 centuries, Reed continued. They're the reason our ships carry what you call planet-killing weapons. Without that level of firepower, entire human colonies would have been consumed. Dr. Vasquez leaned forward, her expression earnest. The technology gap between our civilizations exists because we've had no choice but to develop it. Every advancement in human science has been driven by the need to survive threats that would have destroyed less adaptable species. The holographic display changed again, showing what appeared to be a mechanical swarm consuming a star system. Billions of self-replicating machines stripped worlds down to their component atoms, processing the raw materials into more machines. The harvester swarms are remnants of a war that took place before humanity achieved spaceflight, Reed explained. We don't know who built them or what they were originally designed to accomplish. We only know that they view organic life as a resource to be processed. Our first encounter with them cost us 12 colony worlds and over 2 billion lives. Several delegates made sounds of distress in their various languages. The scale of destruction was beyond anything in Federation experience. High Counselor Mindis struggled to maintain her diplomatic composure. Captain, if such threats exist, why haven't we encountered them? Our territory spans hundreds of systems across multiple galactic arms. Because, Dr. Vasquez interjected, your region of space is what we classify as a stable zone. The galactic core's gravitational influence creates areas where the fundamental forces remain constant. Most spacefaring civilizations develop in these regions because they're naturally safer. Reed nodded. Humanity evolved in what we call the contested rim, a region where multiple galactic catastrophes have left the space unstable. Ancient weapons still function, dimensional barriers are weakened, and predatory entities regularly cross into our reality. It's a cosmic disaster zone that has shaped every aspect of our civilization. The implications were staggering. The Federation had developed in a relatively peaceful region of space, allowing their culture to focus on exploration and cooperation. Humans had been forced to become warriors simply to survive their environment. Admiral Torvin leaned back in his chair. Captain, assuming we accept your explanations, what exactly are you proposing? Your people clearly don't need our protection, and our technology appears primitive by your standards. Reed smiled, the first genuinely warm expression he had shown. During the meeting, Admiral, you're thinking like a military commander? Dr. Vasquez? The xenobiologist activated her own holographic display. What we're offering isn't military alliance, though that may come later. We're proposing cultural and scientific exchange. The Federation has achieved something that humanity has never experienced: true peace. Your societies have developed arts, philosophy, and social structures that we find remarkable. The display showed images of human colonies, functional, efficient, but somehow sterile compared to Federation worlds. Every building was designed with defense in mind, every city built to withstand siege conditions. Asterisk. We've forgotten how to live without constant threat, Vasquez continued. Our children grow up learning combat tactics before they can properly walk. Our greatest artists create works about war and survival. We've preserved our humanity, but at a cost that your people never had to pay. High Counselor Mindis began to understand. You're not seeking to conquer or dominate. You're seeking to learn how to be at peace. Exactly, Reed confirmed. And, in return, we offer protection and advanced technology. The contested rim is expanding. The threats that we've faced for centuries are beginning to spread into stable space. Within a few generations, the Federation will encounter dangers that could destroy your civilization overnight. The conference chamber fell silent as delegates processed this information. The humans weren't invaders. They were refugees warning of an approaching storm. Dr. Vasquez brought up another display. Our long-range sensors have detected expansion patterns in several threat vectors. The Void Stalkers are becoming more aggressive, possibly due to diminishing food sources in their native dimensions. The Harvester swarms have begun moving toward core systems, consuming resources at an accelerating rate. And there are other threats that we've only recently become aware of. Admiral Torvin studied the data projections with growing alarm. How long before these threats reach Federation? Space? Our best estimates suggest 50 to 100 years, Reed replied. Long enough to prepare, if we begin immediately. The Federation has advantages that humanity lacks: stable industrial bases, established trade networks, and most importantly, a unified command structure that doesn't spend resources on internal conflicts. High Counselor Mindis was quiet for several minutes, obviously weighing the implications. Captain, what you're describing is essentially a complete transformation of Federation society. We would need to militarize on a scale that's unprecedented in our history. Not militarize, Dr. Vasquez corrected gently. Adapt. The Federation's greatest strength is its diversity and cooperation. Those qualities will be essential in developing new strategies and technologies. Humanity has survived through determination and advanced weaponry, but we've never been able to coordinate efforts on the scale that the Federation routinely manages. Reed leaned forward. We're proposing a partnership, Counselor. Humanity provides the military technology and threat assessment expertise. The Federation provides the industrial capacity and organizational skills. Together, we might be able to not just survive the coming crisis, but actually push back against these threats permanently. The concept was revolutionary. Instead of simply defending against cosmic dangers, the combined civilizations might be able to actively eliminate them. Admiral Torvin nodded slowly. The logistics alone would be staggering. Retooling entire industrial systems, training personnel, coordinating defense strategies across hundreds of worlds. "We have detailed plans," Reed assured him. "Humanity has been preparing for this possibility for decades. We knew that eventually we would need allies if we were going to do more than just survive. The Federation represents the best hope for creating a true coalition against these threats." High Counselor Mindus made her decision. "Captain Reed, Dr. Vasquez, what you're proposing will require approval from the full Federation Council. I cannot make commitments of this magnitude without proper consultation. We understand completely," Reed replied. "In fact, we expected this would be a lengthy process. We're prepared to remain in this system for as long as necessary while your government considers our proposal. However," Dr. Vasquez added, "we should begin small-scale cooperation immediately. Cultural exchange programs, joint scientific projects, shared training exercises. These will help both sides better understand each other while the larger decisions are being made." Admiral Torvin stood, signaling the end of the formal session. "Captain, I must admit that when we first detected your fleet, I expected either invasion or conquest. The reality is far more complex than anything we anticipated." Reed stood as well, offering his hand in the human gesture of friendship. "Admiral, complexity is something humanity has learned to navigate. The universe is far stranger and more dangerous than most civilizations realize. But it's also full of possibilities for those willing to work together." As the meeting ended, delegates began filing out to begin the massive task of presenting this information to their respective governments. The human fleet continued to orbit the station, their weapons powered down, but their sensors constantly monitoring space for signs of the threats they knew were inevitable. Lieutenant Kira Donovan watched from the observation deck as shuttles moved between the human and Federation vessels. The sight of cooperation beginning between two vastly different civilizations gave her hope that perhaps the galaxy's future would be brighter than the dark projections suggested. Commander Vex Thaler joined her at the viewport. "What do you think will come of all this?" he asked. Kira considered the question carefully. "I think we're about to discover that the universe is much larger and more dangerous than we ever imagined. But I also think we might be strong enough to face it, if we're willing to work together." The massive human vessels began powering down their primary systems, settling into what appeared to be a long-term patrol configuration. They would wait while the Federation decided whether to accept humanity's offer of alliance against the coming darkness. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. The age of peaceful exploration was ending, and the age of survival was about to begin.